Hello, everyone. Welcome to SIL's Global Language Technology webinar. My name is Kent Schroeder, and I am your host. And Doug Higby will be assisting me. And today we have our presenter will be Aaron Hemphill. He works with the Mexico branch, and he is living in Wheaton, Illinois, and he's also the developer of Alpha Tiles, which is our topic today. Now, our presenter will have 1 hour for presenting and then 30 minutes for a Q&A session. Please use the Q&A box for your questions and comments, and we will address them during the Q&A session. Well, thank you again, Aaron, for coming, and you can now take over.
Okay. Yeah, great to be here with you all. Okay, so Alpha Tiles, we're gonna do a presentation, just a PowerPoint, then do some questions, then we'll do a demo video, and do some more Q&A, and then end with just showing you around Google Drive, the Assistant, and Android Studio. So I always want to mention Bloom alongside Alpha Tiles. You'll see in the presentation how they complement each other. Bloom provides very structured content. You can design exactly what people see. Alpha Tiles has some more dynamic components, which makes for less structured play, but together they make a really nice package. So we've got about 100, a little over 100 games right now. All of these are at the Word level and below. Alpha Tiles is only for Android, but it all is fully functional offline. It's open source, and we've made the app for 234 languages. You can see we're at 552 projects, and so that means there's over 300 teams that have started a project. Maybe they got busy, maybe they got stuck, maybe they're humming along and everything's going well, but that's something to have in the back of our minds that there's a lot of people who have started and maybe need some assistance or a better workflow from us to build their apps. I'm guessing a lot of you have seen this statistic from me or from others, but there are hundreds of millions of kids that go to school and they don't speak the language at all, or it's not the language that they would best learn in. And so hopefully Alpha Tiles can help some with this problem. Okay, we'll see more of the games when we do the demo. But again, word level and below, some games that are active, where you choose the right answer or you complete a complex activity. And there's also passive games where there's nothing to do correctly or incorrectly. You're just reviewing and scrolling, tapping and listening. Okay, so this is a key component, a key concept for Alpha Tiles. On the left, you see what a developer sees. That's the template. It's an XML layout in Android Studio. On the right, we're looking at a round, an instance of the game for a particular language. So choose the missing vowel, the first challenge level. Randomly, this B was loaded, and randomly, the second vowel was removed. And then, in addition to the correct U down there in blue, 3 wrong vowels were loaded. Okay. So in this language, they have 218 words in their word list. If you counted all the vowels in those 218 words, there'd be 554 vowels. And so this combines into more than 1 million different presentations for this language of the basic question, what's the missing vowel? And nobody needs to play this 1 million times. That's completely unnecessary. But no matter how long you play this, you're definitely going to see a unique screen every time. Okay, so highly unstructured, random, not perfectly designed pedagogically, but in terms of keeping interest high, it works really well. Okay, to date, out of the 234 teams that have built apps, roughly half have done so at their own pace in a Google Drive, and they'll ask us or other tech people when they're stuck. Once they've completed the process, we can validate their language pack and then help them build their app. And then about half of those 234 teams have attended a workshop. And it's very cool to see that more frequently workshops are being run where I am not there or not even supporting remotely because different entities are becoming more and more independent and have their own tech staff that can do the validating and the app building. But I'm always very happy to join you for a workshop or to support it remotely. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's some friends we've made at different parts of the world building workshops. Okay. The way the workflow starts is people typically start with images. Um, if we jump forward one, ideally, right, a literacy specialist, an educator would say start with the text. Build a well thought out list of words. Don't include words that have lots of variant spellings or that are 15 letters long, or right, you'd come up with a well thought out list. But then the challenge is finding the image for those. So this is becoming less of a challenge as more teams use AI um, to generate images. But up to this point, most teams have started with a bank of images, written their word for all those images, and then recorded those. So in Mexico, we found that if we were running a workshop for 20 teams and people are coming with images that we don't know where they got them from, they pulled them off a website, they were a collection of, pixelated or poorly cropped, a mix of JPEG and PNG, it would slow down the workshop. And it would also be something that we couldn't help them publish to the Play Store because we didn't know where the images came from. So in Mexico, we created this Arcody collection. And that's what teams use in workshops. And so it's kind of a pan Mexican collection of images, and teams choose the ones they want and reject the ones they don't want. And so I would love to see more collections like this for different regions of the world. And it's not that everybody should be using a collection like this for their apps, just it speeds up a workshop, helps people understand the process. And then if they have a different set of images, they're welcome to use those later as well. Okay, so again, the workflows tended to be get a bunch of images. Um, oh, I guess another example would be this. This happens often where there's a first team to make alpha tiles in a particular country, and then others hear about it. And so if a first team found a collection of images that are adequate and work well for a certain country, they can pass those images on to another team. And probably, right, 95% of those images would work for another language in that country. Okay, we're going to show you this. So the validator sits inside Android Studio, and this is one of the most common things that a language technology person would do to help. Is you go in Android Studio, you press a button, you enter the Google Drive address, and it builds you a report. And it says you're missing a tile, you have excess or missing media. It checks a couple hundred items, and that's just the knowledge we've gained over the first couple hundred apps of what will make the app crash. And so we've gotten very good, at least for Roman script, we've gotten very good at predicting, um, analyzing the language pack and listing out the problems that it has. And so anybody who's running Android Studio can easily build that report for someone working on a language pack. And so we'll show you that. Um, okay. Yeah. So to get started, email alpha underscore tiles or email me or go to the website. 10 to 20, I think, is the right number for a workshop. You can do it with as few as you'd like. Team countries have started with 3, 4 teams. But more than 20, you really just need a very large number of techs to help. And you can also just get started by going to the website, going to the tech forum and saying, set up a project for me for X language, and get to know the process through a single language. And then um, um, when you're more comfortable with the process and kind of could imagine, okay, what would it look like for us to do this for 6 or 12 or 20 languages, to make plans for a workshop. Okay, something new. Peter Wolfing worked on this, which is great. People have trouble finding Alpha Tiles apps because in the Play Store it's just the same Alpha Tiles icon, right, over and over again, about 40 some times. But some people publish to their own stores. Some people have rebranded their app. Um, and so you might not know it's an Alpha Tiles app until you poked around more. So now you can go to the website and there'll be a search button. It'll take you to this page. And so, for example, if we put in um, Nigeria for the country, it's showing us to the right 3 Play Store icons. So if we click on those, it takes us to the Play Store page. It's showing us one under testing. Um, and so that's an APK file that they're not sharing publicly. And then if you see this, if you see the bottom, this Android 0, they might also have an APK file that they are sharing. So once people have built their APK file and it's in a Google Drive, it just takes a second to go to this Share tab, put true in a field, right click on the app, make publicly visible, and then the next day people would be able to come here. And then you can see also there's 3 in progress. So this is something you can all check for the country that you work in, live in, support, and you can see what's on the way. And so even if it's not built, and you say, "Oh wow, there's an app for Idum," but this last one, and so you could contact me and say, "Hey, who's working on that project?" And if it's SIL, I'll just make the connection. If not, I'll kind of check with both sides and say, "Hey, are you happy to make this connection?" So this is a way to network. This is a way to find apps. This is a way to get a country overview. Um, because yeah, just going straight to the Play Store and looking for the apps where some of these only have, 10, 20 downloads, you might not find it. So we're saying the search page is a great way to look by ethnologue code, by country, or by language name. Okay, I mentioned the assistant. Um, so the Google Drive is not going away. I assume it'll be there 3 years from now. But we want to move people over to the assistant, and I'll send out our second newsletter within a week or so. Um, and we'll attach a presentation kind of saying, here's 10 reasons why this is an improvement. But I wanted to show you a couple. So in the upper left, we have our current workflow. You're in a Google Sheet file and you enter this English word act, and you enter it again because that's the language of plays, act. Then in the bottom left here, you've got this separate subfolder in Google Drive where you store all the images. And then in here in the bottom, oh, sorry, I said bottom left. Then in the bottom right, you have another Google Drive subfolder, and it has the audio file. And so this trio um, becomes an object that we can play with, right? Because we have the word act and we have a picture and an audio file. The problem is you're in 3 separate spaces. So as you're uploading your data, you can't check it. You just upload it all. The validator will catch if like a file's missing, but you actually have to load the app and play it to say, oh, wait a minute, we attached the wrong audio file, or that's not the right image. And so now with the assistant, it's going to be web-based. And so you'll see everything right on one screen. So you enter the word act and you attach the audio file, you attach the image, and now you or another person can see them all in the same place and say, "Oh, can we get a different image? We don't really like that one." So that's one of the improvements. And then in this next screen, this has been the bane of everybody's existence, and this goes back to when I first built this. Apologies. You see in the upper left, as people are entering their word list in Google Drive, Okay, Niños is not spelled Ninyos. Niños has this ñ, N with a tilde. But because this first column has to be written in Java format, which is A to Z, 0 to 9, underscore, we write it in this bad Spanish where we don't use accents and we write NY instead of ñ. And that lets Android Studio accept these files as named into the app. And so people just spent lots of time like renaming files and oh, they renamed the image, but they forgot to rename the audio and just, a lot of time wasted because of not an ideal setup that I'd originally set up. Okay, so in the web tool, the assistant, you'll just directly enter the name as it's used in the app. So this is Teoquitlapa Metpa here. Boom, right? It's got a low tone diacritic for A and U. It's got a final glottal stop. So you just type that exactly as is. And then for the audio and image, it doesn't matter what the file's name. That's irrelevant. You just need to attach the right item. Um, so this is a little slower because at the moment we don't have a batch import of just media. We can move a full language pack from Drive into the assistant. But building a new language pack, you'd go one at a time. You just wouldn't have to battle any naming conventions. Okay, and so we'll see this in the demo as well. Okay, is this the last? Yeah, so here's the last slide, and then we can do some questions, and then we'll do a video, and then I'll show you around some of Google Drive and Android Studio and the Assistant. Okay, so the thing we've learned so far is that with the right tech people, so with language technology people, with people like me, like you, we make sure that the app compiles and functions. It didn't crash. Yay. Um, but we are capable of making poor apps if a literacy and education person is not involved at any point. Because the way words are broken into tiles might not make sense. Um, and so it is important, especially if you have a workshop with a lot of teams, to make sure it's not just the tech people, that make sure that people can move around Google Drive and somebody has Android Studio set up and we can generate apps and test apps. You want to make sure that there's folks there. Now, a lot of LT people are linguists as well, and that's a pretty good substitute. But just when entities are planning this type of thing, don't forget to encourage aggressively the literacy and education people to participate. All right, so a process here, there's a team that enters language data. And then hopefully, but not always, a literacy and education person is reviewing that data. They're looking at their list of words. They're looking at how they've chosen to break words into tiles. And I apologize. I'll give one example. Let's say that a language has long vowels. Okay, so they have O and they have double O. The team has to decide, are we going to have a single O tile and that's it? And so two tiles in a row, an O and another O makes a long O? Or are we going to enter a single O tile and then also a double O tile? So the way to represent a long O is a single tile that has double O. So that's one of the key decisions you make in the game tiles tab is what gets joined and what gets separated. And so that's an example of something that a literacy and education person could help with. Um, Often teams will need help with normalizing audio, sizing images. Maybe they haven't worked with Audacity before. And so that help is always very appreciated by me when the media we get is already processed and ready. Okay, so the team uploads their media. They upload the images and audio that they've prepared. A tech person validates the language pack, so they run the report that generates a list of errors or warnings. So then the language pack is updated. And then a tech person builds a trial app. So this is an APK file that goes in the Google Drive project folder. And then, yeah, both the team and the tech person want to test the app for crashes or broken functionality. So, right, you play one round of each game, you click on every screen, um, and additionally, the team and the yeah, I should have put L&E there on the review app. So you're checking spelling, you're checking the correspondence between image and text and audio. You're looking at the different games. Sometimes people say a game, see a game, and they say that doesn't work for this language. Let's remove that game, and then build a final app. So that's the end of that. But let me fix this right now. There you go. Okay, so let's stop for questions, and then we'll do the video, and then we'll go through, yeah, Drive, Android Studio, and the Assistant. So questions.
Yes,
Okay,
Aaron, there are a few questions, so I'll bring them up to you
great.
on your presentation. The first one is referring to, I think you answered this, and Steve answered it well, but just to make sure everybody caught it, the 218 words and the 544 instances that you gave as an example in an earlier slide, what
Yeah.
is an instance in this context? Just want to
Oh,
get,
so like the word banana has three instances of the one vowel A.
right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
banana for the choose the missing vowel game, we could it'd scan the word and say, "Oh, I randomly picked this one. Is it a vowel? Yes, it is. Okay, we'll remove that one."
Okay. Next question is, can I add the link for the new Alpha Tile workflow? I'm building Alpha Tiles and giving support for the back end or development for two other Alpha Tiles apps.
Okay. What was the beginning of the question? Something about,
They want the link for the new Alpha Tile workflow.
oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay.
If you want, you can put it in the answer.
Yeah. Right now while we're testing, people should email me or go through the tech form. And we'll set you up with an account. But it's this address right here, Alpha Tiles Assistant.
So
Oh, and then
ATN, you got that?
and I
Okay.
see somebody's asking for the newsletter. You see
Yeah.
this link in the upper right here, subscribe, past issues. So there's only been one issue so far. So um, if you click here, that's the last newsletter, and it's also got a subscribe button in the top left.
Yeah. Next question. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Can one build one app on your own if you have the content, image, and audio?
Yes, yeah, the platform is open source, so we're not perfect. You couldn't do it 100% independently, but um, I think the one thing we would need to do is set you up with the validator. So there's a whitelist of emails that can run the validator. Um, Other than that, you go to GitHub, and if you scroll down here, it starts a README section, and so you just go through this process, and that'll set you up. Um, and then if you go to let me put that in the chat. And then if you go to what, just on the main Alpha Tiles website to the contact page. Yeah. Okay. There's the contact page. And scroll down to, oh, and here's newsletter sign up as well. There's another place to sign up,
Mhm.
but here's tech support. And this is just a Google form. I haven't added it yet, but we'll add um, a couple assistant related items. So here you could say set up new project. So I think we just need to change this to say set up new assistant project or set up new Google Drive project. Um, and then either way we can set up a space. Um, you can also um, here's the thing. When people want to work independently, that's great, but they usually run into, but now I'd like help with the app building part, or now I'd like help with the Firebase part, or now I'd like help with the Play Store publication part. So you can definitely run your own fully independent system. But if you're leaning on us for help at certain points, then we should talk about where to set things up. So for SIL teams, it's just easier that all of the Google Drive project folders are inside the Alpha Tiles account, so that as people move positions or leave or enter the organization, we're not losing drives because people forgot to transition something over as they moved on. But if you have your own reasons that you want to set up your own drive in your own space, it can still be validated by the validator. Um, so yeah, yeah, okay. Sorry. Next question.
Okay. Will the program work with diacritics? We have two vowels with diacritics, A with an umlaut and A acute.
Yes, we've never run into an issue yet with representation of languages. People often have a particular font they need to use, but yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem. The diacritic, the issue I had mentioned before was in the background, something users will never see about how do we make sure the app knows that a particular text string, like banana, goes with a particular image and goes with a particular audio file. But if for a particular language, the word for banana has, yeah, a bunch of diacritics, then that's exactly how you should enter the word, and that's how it'll appear in the app. Yeah. And your only challenges with diacritics will be how do we join or separate pieces of a word into tiles?
So, Aaron, I'm wondering if you could like give an example of an alpha tile app. Are you able to like show some of the
Mhm.
games and such? Because I think some of the people here haven't actually seen the apps in action.
Okay. All right. Let's watch this demo video. Um, and I'll put this in the chat as well so you could watch it later. There's another video we won't watch, or is it this one? No, there's another video that's like 9 minutes that explains the how it breaks words into tiles, which is a helpful video to watch. Okay, so this is 3 years old, but still very relevant. We do need to make another one, but it presents all the concepts well. Okay, so you can see we come to a load screen. You can customize those avatars manually, but it's just player one, player two, player three. So 12 different people can enter their space where they're tracking their score. So it's not 12 levels, it's not 12 different experiences, it's identical experiences. It's essentially user accounts that have no login password, no PII. But you can rename your avatar for the one of the 12 accounts, pseudo accounts that you play in. Okay, so if you click on the text, you're going to rename the avatar, and you can use an Alpha Tiles keyboard or you can pop up the Android keyboard. There you're going back to the avatar menu. If you click on the animal, the avatar, you're going to play. Okay, so Carla is a bee. You see the little bee. Um, and Alpha Tile, it's just a list of games in order. We might do something different in the future. Um, People get to know those colors pretty quickly. Kids know they like the purple game, or they point other kids and say, "Oh, go to this green game on the last page."
Agu. Ascoin.
Okay, not all the games
Asmu.
are active.
Ahtu.
There's no right or wrong answer to this game. In an update, you can bold in yellow here at the bottom the tile that's in focus. So this Hatsu, the first A could be bolded yellow. But this is a passive game. You're just scrolling through and clicking around.
Asmu.
Aku.
And what it's saying here at the top is that there are two words that start with a high tone A, and we're looking at the first of those two.
Abu.
Okay. Here's just this is just your alphabet chart, listed in order, but you can listen to the sounds.
U. 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 Na. Nya.
Oh, and actually, let's go back
U.
here. So we can see that I was talking about joining and breaking decisions. Alpha tile, alpha tile, Teoquitlapa Mappa has long vowels. So they did not create a double A tile or a double E tile, double I tile. So to represent a word with a long vowel and alpha tiles for this language, it would just put two in a row. Now they are putting the diacritics with the vowel because that would be weird, right? To have A on one tile and then this floating high tone on a separate tile. So those are joined. This in is both a consonant and a nasality indicator. So A is oral ah, and A in is nasal ah. So they decided not to make an A in tile and a high tone A in tile and a low tone, right? To make 15 more versions. And what am I missing? Nasal, length, tone. Oh, and glottal. So some people would say that, so like we shut. They would say that A glottal should really be thought of as a unit. Other people say, no, we want to think of that as separate. And so ultimately the decision was made to put the glottal stop on its own tile and to not make an tile and an tile and an tile. So teams usually have a bunch of these decisions to make for vowels or a bunch of these decisions to make for consonants. I feel like with teams in Africa, we're more often talking about how the CCC structure is represented as one, two, or three tiles. In Mexico, it seems to be more often talking about how the vowels are represented.
U. U. Na. Nya. Ye.
Okay, the app can start even simpler than this. It has image to image matching games. This would be a pre-literacy activity. So keep in mind as you're creating and sharing the app, teens, older folks might find it to be a bit babyish, and so you got to let them know that the fun games are at the end. You can skip to, suggest a game number that they skip to. But for people just starting, this is great practice just to hear the tile sound and match the identical symbol.
Ye. U.
Okay, lower and uppercase.
U.
Din.
Okay, you can also see here there's not text explaining what to do. We really wanted to avoid burdening teams with lots of text strings that needed to be translated. Later in the video, it's going to show it, but here's an audio instruction button. So when people don't know what to do, they tap on that button and they'll hear an explanation, an oral explanation of how to play the game. Most of them, it's very intuitive and obvious. We'll see some later, not so much.
Din.
Ma. Ma.
Okay, so it's saying some games that look identical have difficulty levels based on the similarity of the choices. So we'll see two or three examples of this. So an identical structure, we just make the wrong answers more similar.
Rondin. Ru.
Okay, so wrong answers start with random tiles. So this is runding, and it randomly grabbed M, K, H, and X and found words that start with those. So a lot easier to distinguish as separate words.
Runding.
Okay, now in the second level, this looks visually identical, the structure, the frame, but this is mu, and so the J has distractors of I and Y that either look similar or sound similar, or there's Spanish interference, but for some reason it's a good, harder to distinguish wrong answer.
Mu. Mu.
Okay, and then in the final level, all the words start with the digraph TS. So a beginning reader, beginning learner of literacy can't just look at the first letter, the first two letters, and guess. They have to absorb more of the word.
Sidin. Sidin.
Rotto.
Okay, so
Rotto.
same
Chala.
concept.
Chala. Gun. Gun. Asho.
Okay, now we've got the missing vowel. So the first level, the wrong answers are random. So high tone A is correct, and then it just randomly grabbed from the 15 vowels the language has, vowel tiles the language has, this trio.
Asho.
Shiyu.
Okay, now it's the wrong answers are the distractors.
Shiyu. Shta.
And then for third level, it just supplies all the vowels as a way to make it harder.
Shta.
Gasha.
So for the tile-based games, there's often a
Gotcha.
syllable-based variant. Okay, this is, yeah, we really need to update this video. We're probably up to 22 basic game structures, but a single game structure can become mini games because you can build it for tiles or syllables. You can have wrong answers be random or distractor. You can focus on vowels or consonants. You can do matching activities where you match word image or word text or syllable text or tile text. Word audio, syllable audio, tile audio, right? Lots of combinations you can make. And then you can give more items to choose from. And this is a build by pairs game. So you're making a choice between the upper and the lower element.
Ama.
Okay. The final game, when you've played through everything,
Kana.
is spelling from memory. And so when you're on track, it's yellow. You see it turn gray because A is not the second character of that word.
Tana.
Okay, and we've got a few more games that already are in the app, and then a couple more, at least a couple more by the end of the summer. And so these are, they have value for literacy, but they are designed mostly to be fun and to keep people engaged.
Stiku.
Okay, yeah, here's the audio
Ataya.
instructions.
Aotsina. Windayo.
Okay, so that's my friend Emiliano explaining
Stiku.
in MatPa what you're supposed to do on that level. Okay, so right now, looking at the screen, we have lots of rounded square doors. That lets us know that inside that activity, no progress has been made. Maybe they've played rounds and missed every one, but they haven't got any right answers yet. Then you can see 12, 13, 16, 2. Those have circle doors. That lets us know that if we go inside that game, we'll see that they've made some progress. And once it becomes a star, that tells us that they've got this correct 12 times in a row. This is all getting updated in the next month or two. This part will stay the same, but I'll show you the difference when we go inside here.
Te.
Okay, so up at the top we have 12 yellow circles. Every time you get a right answer, it becomes a green check mark. In the current setup, you have unlimited wrong answers. Eventually, you will tap on the right answer, and then you get a green check mark. So in the update, we're removing this top section and replacing it with two progress bars. So one is attempts and one is accuracy. And you can set up your app to give second chances or not. So you can keep the original setup, but for every game you'll specify in the games tab, it's 20 successful rounds or five, like whatever number you choose instead of this always fixed 12. And so you can set, minimum accuracy to 0, 12 attempts, and it'll behave just like this. But people who wanted the app to be more classroom ready and to not let the learner just tap furiously, it's set up for you can set second chances to false. And if you get the wrong answer, it lowers your accuracy, and it's just going to be longer before you have a high enough accuracy that you complete the game. But what we're seeing here is what it'd look like if you built an app today.
T, P, P, E,
Okay, so we jumped ahead.
P.
Now there's 12 check marks, a little celebration. The way most people build the app with the setting is when you complete one game, it automatically sends you to the next one. You can see here they've got the star that says they've successfully completed that game. Okay. Okay, so questions now that we've seen the demo.
So you're muted, Ken.
Angela wants to know where to link it. Do you have the link to see the finished games? Is it in the search part of your website?
What does finished games mean?
Apps that you can install.
Oh, the so the search page, let's share that. There you go. Okay. So that's the best way to find something. But you can also just go straight to um, here's the Alpha Tiles Play Store. So I'll put that in the chat as well. But yeah, this is what I was referring to before is when if you go to the Play Store, right? Like look at this ocean of light bulbs. Um, and so people are looking for this app, but they're using a certain type of, they're using apostrophe instead of the saltillo for the glottal stop. People struggle. I have not worked on search engine optimization, any of those kinds of things. So yeah, here's a Play Store, but I would say the easiest way is to come to the search page and search by ethnologue code or by country. Because even with language name, people will list it several different ways. Okay, next question.
That's all the questions we have at this time.
Okay.
Do you have more to present?
Yeah, we can demo some things. But please, when people have questions, let us know. So right now, um, this is kind of my landing page to look at all the projects. So here's all the projects that start with S or T in their ethnologue code. And so we can come down to the one we saw in the video, TPX Teoquitlapa Metpa. And we've got these subfolders. So audio instructions optional. You don't have to do this, but if you want to add those. Then you upload these files, and then in Google Sheets, we have all these tabs. And so you come to the Games tab, and in this instruction audio column, you just put the name of the file that should play when that game plays. Okay, this column B is what the coders see. So we name our games after countries. It's a odd convention, but it seemed to work so far. But people would make more sense of basic matching word image to word image level 2, right? So they're like, okay, yeah, for that game, I want to run this audio file. So most of the work teams do is in this Google Sheets file. Information about the language, the game tiles. So this is what we were talking about before, is they entered a mid, high, and low tone, but they don't have a long A. You just put two A's in a row. And they don't have an AN to represent nasal A. You just have a tile in. And you see here for type 2, they've said, well, that has type X, and it's going to just make this nasal sound, as opposed to the first type for the N consonant, which will make a regular like na or n sound. There's it might be like 100 slides. There's a Google Slides presentation called the Setup Instructions, and it walks you through this process. It explains all the different fields. Um, okay, here we have our word list. Syllables are optional, but you can build a syllables table that the Android Studio will draft it if you've put periods in your word list. Okay, this language is not written with periods, but they've entered periods at all the word breaks. And so when you run the Android Studio validator, you can say generate a syllable table draft for me. Okay, there's a keyboard, which is pretty quick and easy to make. You can promote resources within the app. Okay, yeah, let's show some of these together. So let's come back here. Okay, so for the Lang info tab, this is right here. We click on the light bulb and it's okay. Let's learn. So this is the English app. Oh, sorry, and we're looking at MEPA. Ugh. But this language information you put here is going to go in the About tab. Your image acknowledgments you put here is going to go here. Your contact email that you put here comes over here. Privacy policy, etc. So most of the Lang info comes over here. And then your game tiles end up here. Nope, that's the word list.
Act.
Okay, I think I was testing this app, so it's missing one of the games. I've been moving stuff around. All right. Actually, let's switch over to English. That's going to be a lot clearer for you all. Um, okay, now it makes a little more sense. So it looks like we're going back and forth between USA and United Kingdom. Oh yeah, guys, I apologize. This is also a different one. Okay. Um, let's go back to the Google Sheets. Okay, yeah, we were looking at the Games tab. So you can add or remove games just by adding or removing rows. Now, because this is all freeform, it's easier to make mistakes, right? Because you can just accidentally insert columns, rows. So we're gonna test the validator right now. Okay. So I'm at the top level of this folder. I'm just gonna copy this Google Drive address. And then I'm gonna come into Android Studio, and where it has app, I'm gonna switch to validate. And then I'm gonna hit the play button. Okay. And so I've already had this email added to the whitelist. It's already prompted me in a previous session to confirm that the path it's targeting is the correct path. Um, and so now I can put in the address. And it's got some options here. So pre-workshop checks only is very useful because that says all I'm going to look at is your word list and your audio and your image for words. I'm going to ignore every tab. I'm going to ignore every optional file. I just want to know that you got that basic word list, and for every word you have audio and images. So that's a great thing to ask teams to work on before they arrive to a workshop. Okay, we can show recommendations or ignore those. We can ignore excess file warnings. We can show stages information, which I should show you that. Here we go. Copy syllables draft to the clipboard. And there's a particular game with copy iconic words. So for the moment, we're just going to leave the default as is, and it's going to run a report. And after we run this, we'll go break some things and rerun the validator. So it usually runs in about 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes longer the first time. Okay, it says, after reviewing errors and warnings, are you ready to download the data? So it's saying, do you want to take this stuff out of Google Drive and put it in your machine in the right format and setup where it's ready to build the app? So we're going to say no because we don't know what situation the language pack is in yet. Okay, so it says this report is for English. It has two fatal errors. The first one, oh yeah, the first one's a bug to address. It's something that's okay. The second one could be an issue. It's saying it's missing. Um, yeah. So they've listed Sudan as an audio file in the Games tab, but it can't be found anywhere. So that's something we could fix. And then it has some warnings. You have some audio files that are not being used. It couldn't find the small versions of the image, so it's just going to generate all of those. And then a tool that's been very helpful for us is these project notes. So anything you put here in the Notes tab will show up in the report. Because what we tell people is never build an app without running the validator. So in the Notes tab, someone can say, hey, Aaron, please switch to this other font during the next build. Or we know there's a ton of excess audio. We're going to remove it soon. Because a lot of times people will come to Alpha Tiles and then not come back to it for 6 months. It's a project you can work on the side. And so notes is where you, as the tech person, the literacy and education person, the team who's the owner of the app, whoever can make notes to each other that we'll all see prior to building the app. Okay, so now
So
if I come over here and I change this A to a Q, okay, and let's change. Oh, but this is English. So we need to change this to an Enye. Okay, something that English doesn't have. Um, and then let's change this A to the Velar. Okay. So it's going to complain about these because it's going to say, I don't know what that is. This distractor should appear somewhere in column A. In Anya, it's going to complain about and say, there's no words that have this. So we're going to rerun the validator. And we should get some new errors. Okay, there you go. See, it came up faster that time. And so now it'll run for, yeah, maybe 10, 20 seconds.
so while we're waiting, I'm curious, what are you expecting the average person building the app tiles, Alpha Tiles apps to be running this check on their end, or is this something that you do on your end?
Not their end. Either Liz and I on the team, or someone like you all as tech folks.
Mhm.
We have supported workshops remotely where we're not there, but we're doing the validating in the building. We've done a workshop where a literacy and education person, Tara Huberty, she wasn't comfortable at building, but we've gotten her set up to validate. So she would run the validator, but when it was time to build the app, she'd say, "Okay, we think everything's ready." Um, but definitely a typical team that's assembling the data, they're not doing this. This would be a tech person.
Okay. And you would like email the error report to them or something?
Yeah, we'll put a Google Doc in the project folder and just keep adding a tab because we've had teams, go through like 15 rounds of error reports. Um, so now we've got new errors here. Cannot parse the word act because we removed the tile A and
Oh,
switched it to Anye. So it wants to break the word act into pieces. It has a C, it has a T, but it doesn't know what A is. It's never seen that before. And you can see the validator, it's kind of annoying because it just says, hey, here's 67 errors, but it's all the same error. It's just where's the letter A? Okay, then here error 81 says row 3 of game tiles contains an invalid tile as an alternate distractor. The velar nasal. Please add this to the tile list if it is missing or replace it with a valid tile. So what that's saying is this is fine, but then this has to appear in the base tile column. Or let's switch this out with another tile. Just that was a coding decision we made a few years ago that we want all the distractors to be actual tiles. So you can't add a distractor because it looks similar, but it's not a symbol the language has. What else? Oh yeah, and see now that we removed A in 82, 83, 84, 85, it's saying A is invalid. So teams battle with this, right? As they're making their joining and separating decisions, or they forget to add something. Um, the validator will help you make sure that your language pack is tight, it's integrated. It's not going to surprise Alpha Tiles when it tries to create your games for you. So we'll go and fix this again. Okay. Okay, so this is where yeah, maybe not the first 10, but this is where we've done about 500 um projects is in Google Drive and 234 have reached the publication point. Oh yeah, I was showing you the folders. Okay. So audio instructions are optional. Audio syllables optional. Audio tiles optional. You have to have words for every audio file. And here you go. You have to have images for every word. Every word has to have audio and images. Font, we usually do those with Andika New Basic or Carousel, but if you have a different font you want to use, we can do that. Okay, image resources optional. That's okay. Oh, look, it's missing the Bloom logo. Because maybe somebody didn't put an image right here. So this is where you would put your images that represent the resources you want to promote. And then this low res, these are actually optional as well. When you download it through Android Studio, it will generate these secondary smaller images. Okay, and then we've got an analytics file for Firebase, and we often have discussion documents. Sometimes we send the app and teams are very happy and we're just done. And sometimes they have like 27 things they want to address. And so we're like, okay, let's start a discussion doc where we can just go back and forth in conversation because I can't do this over email to go through like 7 different items with teams. There's too many emails coming in. But if we can get a discussion doc, then we can have a nice conversation about how to work through the things people have brought up. Okay,
okay.
so this is where, well, go ahead.
About the analytics. There's a couple questions in the Q&A that are related. So would a teacher be able to see information about progress that their students have made in the app? Um,
No, not currently. A Princeton student did a senior thesis and set up some the basics of that, but it was still only viewable on like a segment dashboard. Um, so the analytics that we do for people by default, unless they want to set up their own, it's 3 lines of code. You plug in the file, and then we can see user hours and user counts. We can also see which particular games are played, but we're not getting any performance information, like how many they answered correctly or incorrectly. Um, but that is the kind of thing, like if we got um, an individual or a budget, that's definitely something that could be set up. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Were there other questions?
Yeah, there's another one. So does a student need to register in order to have an account with Alpha Tiles or an app? And what options are there for them to identify themselves, email, Facebook, etc.?
Okay. The requirement, I think, for working in Drive or the Assistant or the validator whitelist is just a Google account.
Yeah, I think this is talking about users. If people use the app,
Oh, yeah,
is there
yeah.
any registration with it? They
No, we
create
don't
their,
collect any. There's no login, authentication, sign in. Users don't provide any information. Um, One of the more innovative ed tech companies out there, 1 billion. They're running a national program with the government of Malawi. Um, the kids come into the classroom and they grab any tablet out of the box, and it has this like 3 minute diagnostic at the beginning of their play, and then it kind of shepherds them into a channel based on what week it is, what age that classroom is, and their performance. And so PII, right, personally identifiable information. A lot of people are saying we need to um, avoid that, just not deal with the headache of compliance, right? Because we're building Alpha Tiles apps for 53 countries. So a lot of people are saying that that's a very complicated road to go down to send your app into dozens of countries, collect information about children, and then be compliant with dozens of governments. So I am reluctant to go that route.
right. I had a question when you talked in the beginning, you were saying that like where you're doing the matching of a letter at the top of the screen matching one at the bottom, and that people who are not very beginners who know their letters already would kind of be insulted by that and need to move further on in the program. Do you have a way to either break a game into two different level, I'm sorry, break an app into like a beginner app and then a more advanced app, or like a menu system where when you open the app, you say first like beginner or advanced and then get put into a separate section?
Yeah, we currently don't have anything like that, but we've talked about it sometimes about what that might look like to, yeah, either at the beginning, ask your age range. Maybe that's not PII info, or do it image based. Just kind of have two different areas of the app and then have images that kind of iconically represent the types of activities you'll be playing. I wonder too, people can make two different apps. Just make
Mhm.
two Alpha Tiles apps for language, one that's promoted to teens and adults, and one that's promoted to younger kids. Um,
Well, wouldn't that be easy to do if you have like your spreadsheet all set up with all the apps in it? and then you could just make a copy of that and then take the top half games and make that the beginner app and the bottom half the advanced.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's app has a different list of games because they might not have provided the optional assets or is built at a certain point in time. But yeah, we could make every like individual game definition belong to a certain class. And then, yeah. Yeah, I no, I think it's a really good idea. We just haven't got to it. I think I'm stuck on how do we represent that graphically in a way that's meaningful, but we don't have to build the graphic for all 200 apps. It can be a an icon that's common across all apps. But yeah, I think that would be a great thing for us to do.
Okay. So this new alpha tiles, what was it called?
Oh, assistant. hmm
Assistant. When do you think that's going to be uh, available to the public?
it's available now. And then we're going to announce it in the newsletter this week or next week. It To start, people will email Liz or me, and we'll set up an account. Once we've had some teams go through the full process and we've worked out some bugs, then you'll just go to the website and create your own account. Um, yeah, so this is, you can see the parallel. We were looking at the language information before, country name, um, images. So a limitation here is you have to be online.
Mhm.
But as we've gone through this process, we've realized, the app needs to work offline for the user, but for the people building the app, um, it's much less limiting to say you need to be online to enter this data. But yeah,
So
oh, go ahead.
the idea for this is to get rid of the Google Sheets, or you still use Google Sheets with this?
In the beginning, we're still going to be using Drive because you would prepare everything here, and then a tech like Liz or me or one of y'all would export to Google Drive and run the validator. And so we're basically going to teach the assistant over time like what it's missing. Um, another advantage of the assistant is when you're working on your tiles, it's going to immediately tell you, um, hey, I don't have this tile doesn't appear in any words, or this word can't be built because the tiles are missing, right? You're going to get that feedback live instead of having to build everything, wait for somebody to run the validator for you. Um, the dream would, of course, would be eventually people can start their own account, can enter their language pack, can build their APK file, can publish it, right? Who knows how far this can go? But the part that feels pretty close is people create their own account and validate their own language pack. And then when it's validated, they say, okay, somebody help me build my APK file. Um, Here's another advantage. We'll get this. We need to get this in more languages, but instead of having to click out to a Google Slides presentation and finding which of the 6 pages has the information I need for the game tile section, right? You can click on an information header, a little icon like this. So we'll get more of these to explain what people do. So at this point, we just need testers, people who recognize it's going to have some bumps, some flaws. But yeah, I've tested through it. Liz has tested through it. It's very functional. It's just not perfect. So testers will bring to the surface the key things we need to address. Um, let's see what else would be good to show. Yeah, okay. And you can have multiple people, just like in Google Drive, we can add multiple people. One person might be entering data, one person might be reviewing.
Wouldn't that
Um,
be quite time consuming though to add your words one at a time? Because I imagine in a sheet you're just going to paste in a big long list of words.
I believe you can
Oh,
add
there
all
we
your
go.
words at once, but you'll have to attach your media one at a time.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you come down here, you can add just a single a one column width word list, your words and nothing else, and it loads them all. But then one at a time, you have to attach your audio and images. So we're going to see how this goes for people. Um, and if people like the old process better, I think we'll maintain a way to build in the first, but then migrate it over here. Because this is where we'll yeah, put our energy in the future. This, I mean, if people have ideas, this is the challenge: is if you let people batch upload audio and images, those audio and images have to be named in a certain way so that the assistant knows, oh, this audio belongs to this word.
Mm.
But if we were letting people type abon, right, and have a multiple low tone diacritics, something that a file name couldn't have, how do we connect the pieces together? So, but who knows? Maybe you could batch upload your audio and images, and then there's a little utility where you're slowly removing items from the bucket and attaching them until nothing's left to assign.
Or make it like a game.
Yeah,
Drag
that's right.
and
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, and so then on this last export page, okay, so it's giving me a warning, no keyboard keys found. It's giving me a recommendation. I can download the language pack, so that would be, in theory, the build ready that sits inside Android Studio, or I can export everything over to Google Drive. Um, yeah, so let's show one more thing. So building an app is when you download a language pack, it automatically adds your product flavor. So your product flavor is just this tiny little snippet here that references the name of what we call a language pack or what Android would call a product flavor. And it's just got the extension and then the name of the app. So that's enough. It will usually prompt you. If not, you go here to sync project with Gradle files, and then that's going to update your build variants queue. Okay, so you can see right now we've got English and this Teoquitlapa. Um, and so if I choose English and then come here and switch from validate to app and click on this play button, it's going to launch the emulator, and Pixel 9 is what's currently loaded. Okay, and you can connect a cable or you can wirelessly connect physical devices and build directly to those. And then the other thing, all it is to build an app is you come up here to File, Build, and we want to generate signed versions. We don't want to generate unsigned. So we say generate signed app bundle or APK. Android app bundles are what gets published to the Play Store. APK files are what you can sideload. Either way, the next screen will ask for your key store information, and then the next will ask you to pick one or more, and you just make sure you choose release. And that's it. Then you build an app. So let me add one more thing. This was in the GitHub. But if you're going through the GitHub README, you'll see this document that we call the processing steps. So this is for the person validating and building the app, not the people preparing the language data, but the person who's going to turn it into an app. So it walks you through all of the steps. And this is public. Yeah, the public can view. But as you're going through this, if you saw something that was confusing or incorrect, then you can send us an email. So let's put that in the chat. Okay. Okay. Other comments or questions?
yeah, there's a question about does each word have a unique spelling? And I think I know the answer to this because the example given was can there be alternate spellings like color versus the British version of color?
Okay.
But I think like a spell checker needs one version of a word to mark correct. And especially if you're teaching a language, you're not going to teach multiple forms of a word, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an app that teaches spelling, so it's looking for standardization. So only one spelling is acceptable. And another keynote there is you can't teach, oh, I should know this, homographs, homonyms. You know, if gu- so G, low tone U, nasal N, glottal out. And Metpa is both moon and badger. You can't put both in your word list. So if you have an item that's a word that's in the game that you're teaching, it needs to be associated with just one image file, one concept. Now, if you have three different things and you don't know what to call them other than bird, you can have bird underscore one, bird underscore two, bird underscore three, as long as in the language of play, it's three different words. Um, this is going to be in the newsletter, but I thought I'd show you this in case you had questions. So this is coming out. We can build it right now, but we'd build it in a separate branch, and in a month or two, we'll make this the main branch. So stages is where we say alpha tiles is kind of wild and reckless. It's always just grabbing any random word and any random tile, and learning is much more structured and sequential and well thought out. So Bloom Books, right? You have it's not the leveled readers, it's the other term, but you can, like in English, we can start with SATPIN. Those are going to be the only letters we start with.
Yeah.
So here in
Decodable,
what's that?
decodable readers.
Perfect. Decodable. Yes, yes. Because in English, if you're armed with SATPIN, then you can read the story Pat is in a 10. Pat sits in a 10. Pat naps in a 10. Is Pat in a 10? Pat is. Pat is in a 10. And so a kid is very excited that they can read that book even though they only know six letters. So here we have METPA. They've we put 8 tiles in stage one. That N is repeated because there's a consonant N and a nasalizer N. You can see that second screen. This is the word list game. It's not really a game, it's a passive list. And it's showing you all the words that you can build with those tiles. Then in the third screen, this is our tile to tile matching game. But now we're only ever going to get as our focus item one of those 8 tiles. Same thing. The missing answer for those pants there, mu, is one of our answers. But you can see in some of the games, wrong answers will be different tiles. Okay, one of our challenges is we're at like 116 games. If we set up 7 stages, we now have 812 games, which is way too many. And so far, teams tend to just accept whatever game list we give them. So we really need help from you as testers. We need help from literacy and education people to say, hey, I've played with stages, I've tested it. We don't have 812 games. Here's the 150 we came up with. We think this is a good generic sequence that somebody else might try. Um, okay. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to demo this, but that branch, I needed to sync something. So in the new branch, so we're in game 92. We're on challenge level 1, and we're on stage 1, and we haven't gotten any points yet. Then in this second snapshot, the accuracy bar at the top shows our accuracy is, 80, 85%, but it's in the yellow. We're not in a passing rate. And then at the bottom, minimum attempts is just counting up. Every attempt is counting up. Now in that third snapshot, it shows that you've met your minimum number of attempts, but the accuracy is still below what's acceptable to complete the game and advance to the next game. And now in this last snapshot, Yeah, the accuracy part turns green, and for most settings of the apps, it'll send you to the next game. And then in the very bottom right of the screen, it shows you three new fields, a look back window, a required accuracy, and a minimum attempts. So people can still get the same behavior in this setup as previously. You would just set the look back window to 12, the required accuracy to 0, and the minimum attempts to 12. And then it would do the same thing. Um, so this is being released with stages as a package because what we realized is for a game like this, matching tile to tile, like 12 is just a very arbitrary number to say once you've done this 12 times correctly you can advance. We want literacy education people looking at the game, individual games, and saying, okay, if someone's done this correctly x number of times, that is the right number to say that they have a good grasp on it and we can advance them. So any questions about stages?
Apparently not.
It
Okay.
sounds like a good idea, especially for the beginning uh, levels. So,
Yeah.
yeah, because right now the beginning levels assume you know the full alphabet, and it's testing you on the full alphabet, right?
Yeah, from the word go, you're exposed to everything, and so this is far and away the most requested feature by literacy folks is stages. So we're ready to start testing it with people. Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, and we've got we're working with an NGO that's working with the ministry, and these are some of the things they wanted to see alpha tiles in a classroom. That when you're wrong, you're wrong, and that's the end of the round, and that is reflected in your accuracy. But we also are only testing them on smaller slices of the language until they've built up. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Okay. One,
Question.
go ahead,
Oh,
Doug.
question from Edgar. Can the number of attempts be randomized based on the type of tiles being presented, or are they fixed to a specific number for all tiles?
Okay. So in an individual game, um, I think at the right now we have it that at the app level you set second chances to true or false. So for every game you get unlimited chances, or for every game you get one shot. Kind of the idea being like we want the student, the learner, to get used to the rhythm. Um, is that answering the question, or was that because
Mhm.
okay, okay,
Yes, I think it was. Okay. Well, we're really out of time, so I'm going to close. Thank you, Aaron, for your presentation. Just want to draw your attention. If you haven't looked at the chat box, there are several links there that have been put there on various things that Aaron has mentioned. So you probably want to take a look at them and make sure that the ones you want to keep track of, that you want to save them before the chat box disappears
yeah,
to
yeah,
do that.
and feel
So,
free to email me and say, hey, you mentioned something about something, and hopefully I'll remember what link it is. But yeah, thank you,
And
Kent. Thank you, Doug.
those links will be included on the webinar video at lingtran.net
Yeah.
soon.
okay. Um, Okay, so that concludes our seminar. Thank you again, Aaron, for your presentation. I also want to thank all the people that came. I appreciate your attendance in this. And I want you to know that our next seminar is going to be on August 27th, and it's going to be on Primer Pret, another literacy too, as well. So you're all welcome to come to that, and Jeff Heath will be presenting. So thank you very much, and this concludes our presentation.